Good afternoon, YouTube. This is another GE. It's one of two for a friend of mine, and what we're doing with this one is a bit of retro. We have converted it back to 18 channels. And it should be 26965. Sorry, 27015. It's 18. It starts higher. So that's your Aussies. And
I heard that idea, man.
this is California on AM.
You've been through a couple of parties, you know what I mean, that's for sure. Alright, man, you guys, I'm back to sipping on my drink. Bye.
Alright, so what are we doing with this radio? I've brought you into this at a couple of hours into the radio. So I've already done the lamp, converted that to a white LED as instructed, 18 channels. So I rebuilt a board. I found an 18 channel and put onto the existing board. The next step is to recap the whole radio. It's still got the original large cap that fails. This one here is very, very lucky. Around here I don't see any of the burnt or eaten corroded tracks, unlike the other one that came in with this group of radios. Alright, so I'm just going to take you through this as we've done it. I'll bring you back as the board's finished. I'm going to replace the VCO with the Razor Ray Radio's VCO, and I'm also going to put on the PLL one of my new IC holders. I'm still getting questions from people, why do I do that? Install IC holders. You've got to be working on these radios to understand it's more a technician thing. You really only get 2 goes at pulling these O2A chips out. The track quality is very, very poor. These were made in an era where cost was everything. So no, it doesn't affect your average user, but what it does mean is if you do it when the board's virgin and you put it in, the underneath of the board never ever gets damaged again. It just makes also for easy replacement of the O2A chip as well, because you just pull in and push in, pull out, and it just means that you keep the integrity of the radio. Most boards that you see that are made with chips, high quality stuff, they put chip holders in. So it's really a 10-minute exercise, which I believe is a worthwhile one. Okay, I'm going to start dismantling the radio, and with the removing the board. I've got to remove a screw here, unclip the harness, screw here. There's three screws holding the RF deck in, 1, 2, 3, and then the 2 antenna screws, and then I flip it. We flip it, disconnect the channel selector harness there, remove the power, disconnect the main loom here. This is the 18 channel board that I rebuilt. So it was the one that was supplied by the customer with the radio, and everything checks out fine, and then I gave it a coat of board lacquer after my clean. Alright, so that's done. Alright, the dismantling begins. Alright, board's out. The first thing I notice here, someone's put heat sink compound on the back of that. You don't really need to do it on the GEs because it's a good fit anyway. Some people do it. It's just messy when you need to work on the board. I'll clean that off in a minute. But here we go. This is the underside of the GE. Now I want to bring your attention to this part of the board. That leg there is the positive leg. Sorry, that leg's the positive leg. That leg's the negative leg of the large cap, the 1000 UF 16 volt, which goes leaky. Now in previous videos I've shown you where all of this gets eaten away to the point that it's very, very hard to rebuild. This one has no damage at all. So when I replace this cap, I'm going to protect it. Alright, so what happens is, this is the negative leg. The acid comes down when it leaks from the capacitor and comes down underneath this leg, creates a dry joint, and then flows all the way around here over the years and just keeps eating and eating. Once this gets to total fail stage, it then migrates, it starts eating through this leg here. I've seen that only on a handful of jobs that I've done or restorations that I've done. So for those who still want to say that you don't need to replace caps, leave the radio original, all of that, generally you're very blind as to the reality of electronics. This is early 1970s. They weren't the best quality, okay? They leak. They need to be replaced after 50 odd years. Okay, I'm going to start pulling this apart. The first thing I do is I'll put the chip holder in and remove the VCOs. My shipment of VCOs haven't arrived yet, so I'll just remove this, and then I always put in the new cap on the big one. Alright, when I have more I'll show more. Okay, the board's set up on the holder, and I'll just start desoldering the contacts there, and here are the VCO. Right, the desoldering's done. What we're going to do now is lift the O2A chip, and again we're using the right angle pick. We start at the back, come to the front, and there we go. All done. No damage. Alright, we survey the area. Looks good. Put the new one in with the dimple facing forward. Just like that. Alright. You see that? The dimple facing forward. Okay. That lines up then with the O2A chip. Alright, I'll remove the VCO. Okay, soldering's done. As you can see, nice little pyramids. And I'm happy at that. Just pull you across. That's where I remove the VCO. I'll flip her over and show you. Alright, VCO's out. As you can see, everything looks fine in that area. And I'll now populate the O2A back into the chip holder. There you go. O2A is in its chip, in its mount. Looks very neat. Now it's totally serviceable. I wish there was a solution to VCOs, but then once every 50 years, it's not too bad. Alright, the next stage is to start. I'm going to work on the large cap to remove that first, and then progressively work through the board. And when I'm finished the board, I'll come back and show you the finished job with all the new caps. Alright, I just want to show you. So the green substance there, right there, it's just starting to leak, the cap. The other leg has no corrosion or contamination on it. this leg, it's just starting to happen. So there you go. And that confirms my suspicions on the negative side. You see that? All right, we'll start replacing. We'll talk about it in a nick of time. Right, you've got to remove all this. Look at that, it's all wet. It's from the capacitor. Look at that. All right. Again, I rest my case. Well, I know these are a problem. And that's why you've got to replace the caps on the GEB models and any other older radios. If you're going to argue with me, argue with the theory. Don't argue with based on sentimentality, guys. That's the reality. Thank you. Okay, I just removed the glue that I showed you in the previous shot. We do have to replace a track, this one here. Okay, see that? It's almost through. Alright, I'm going to replace the track. Alright, jumper's in. Runs from this terminal here all the way through to that terminal there. I'll now install the cap and continue with the work. Alright, cap's installed. What I always like to do, because these pads get so brittle, that's the positive leg. I bring it out and I wrap it around the leg on the other component, solder and snip. And that's the negative side. Alright, thank you. Alright, back again. Alright, the cap change is being done. And with any of these things you encounter challenges where other people's work has been done. My biggest concern here is in the oscillator stage, where we have we have the crystal filter. It's not the best job that's been done here. So I'm not replacing this cap, this cap, this cap, and this one, nor that one there. I'll show you why I'm flipping it over. Alright, so this is your shield, which I normally remove. Now when I go down and have a look at, I see somebody else has been in here. Okay, so we can see some damage there on the previous solder removal. Somebody's put in some foreign material there. And then we see here, this is not even soldered, this connector, this tab to here. And then we go down to here, and with solder, the previous person's done this big blob all the way around to there. Then here, the whole pad's missing. Alright, all the way through from there to there. So I'm going to put a wire, and I'm going to make a pad and put a wire from there to there, and the same is here. See, it's all missing. It's awful work. This is an RF shield. It's functional. It's part of the radio. It's meant to be working. At the moment, it's not. All right, so I've done the bottom part of the board. All my work, I marked the top of the caps with indelible texture. It just shows that I know where I'm going in case I get a phone call, get distracted. So all the caps are done under the wires, all the way through to the power supply and filtering circuit. And all the top board's been done. Now what I'm going to do, which is part of one of my signatures, is I'm going to remove this, sand and polish it, and then coat it with clear coat and put it back on. And after that, I'll call that a video for the day. I'm going to post this, and part 2 will be tomorrow when the VCOs arrive. Thank you.